Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here today. Lisa May and I have known each other for at least a decade. We were both at each other's first conferences. So I'm really glad to be here and grateful for your leadership, Lisa May. Thank you for doing all the work that you do and for bringing us together. So today I wanted to talk about how we can change the world by changing behavior. In an era where many of us are feeling defeated, deflated, isolated, suffering real world consequences, seeing that suffering around the world, I wanted to offer a talk of hope and action. We are becoming increasingly polarized due to social media algorithms, due to AI, due to conflict, due to isolation, individualism. Some of these are going hand in hand, right? Capitalism, historical marginalization and injustice and biases, and so much more. And that polarization that we're experiencing is creating an increased trust gap and an increased empathy gap, which makes it even harder to create change. It makes it harder for bringing each other closer together, right? It is already difficult to create behavior change, right? And I've noticed that after doing this work for decades, that there are a lot of really passionate people who want to create change and could just use a good tool to help them, a good behavioral science tool to help them move people from awareness to action. And so today I wanted to share a behavior change model that I use to help move people from awareness to action through my work. So I am Melinda Briana Epler. I am a marketing and innovation strategist. I drive behavior change in climate, sustainability, equity, and inclusion, and often all of those at the same time. You're welcome to reach out to me on any of these platforms here. My email, melinda@empovia.co, my website, melindabrianaepler.com, LinkedIn, Instagram. Those are probably the two best ways on social media. And I want to just share briefly that I'm a change maker. That's the work that I have been doing my entire career has focused on creating social and environmental change. And I've done that through documentary filmmaking. I was a marketing executive working to drive behavior change in the healthcare industry around energy efficiency and sustainability. I have worked with leaders across multiple industries to drive change across their industries. I've worked with leaders to drive change across their organizations. I've hosted a number of convenings, especially in the tech industry, to really drive change in the tech industry. I've done a lot of research. I've did a TED Talk here. I wrote a book, How to Be an Ally, podcast host, and so on. So I've worked in a number of industries, over 500 organizations over the course of my career to drive positive change. So I wanted to just share a bit about how I do that and how you can do that. So how do you catalyze behavior change? How do you create behavior change? The applications for this, I'm going to share a tool in a moment, but the applications for this are multiple. You might use behavior change strategies to drive marketing and communications so you're changing consumer behavior, right? Behavior change initiatives across your organizations, the change management strategies that you use, community engagement programs, customer experience design, or product adoption, right? Whenever you want somebody to adopt a new product, you're asking them to change their behavior. Leading teams, whether that is individual behavior change, if you're working to help somebody grow their skills, their interpersonal skills, the team behavior change as well, or one-on-one interactions. The holidays are coming up, and so it might be that you're thinking about that uncle that's going to sit across the table from you during the holidays and wondering how you might be able to change their behaviors, right? Or something else. There's a vast group of applications for driving behavior change. So what I'm going to share with you today is the stages of change for strategic communications. This is a model that I adapted from the trans-theoretical model by Di Clemente and Prochaska, Di Clemente and Prochaska developed this model in the 70s, and I have adapted it specifically for social and environmental change. And the goal here is to meet people where they are and to understand that people go through a series of steps or stages before they finally take action. Take action is number 4, and it's not the last one, right? We also want people to maintain that action over time. So we want to meet people where they are and then use storytelling and programming to move them forward to each stage. So by doing the way we get there is to tap into their motivations, to understand their perspectives, to really get to the heart, the hope, the personal connections. Sometimes it's an intellectual connection, but often it's an emotional connection. And then the how as well. We also want to share the how along the way. So, and just know that the other piece of this is that at each step of the journey, somebody might terminate the process or they might take a step back. They might get so far as starting to take action and they realize, oh, wait, I have a few more things I need to do to prepare to really do this effectively. All right, so let me go through each of these stages. This first stage, unconcerned. Here, I'm unaware or unconcerned about the issue. And that means that I don't know what I don't know. I need awareness building communications. What is it? Frankly, what is it? You want to work to build trust in this moment as well. Often there is a distrust. Right now I'm working with some city and state governments as well as utility companies on electrification programs, for example. So if you don't know what electrification is, that's where we start, right? We start with what is it? Electrification is the goal of electrification is to move people away from fossil fuel products toward products that use electricity that then can be sourced from cleaner energy. Right. And so electric cars, heat pumps instead of for your HVAC machines and so on. So we want to move people to more electric products. It's a terrible name, electrification, and so we have to describe it every time. And so what is it? Why is it important? But why is it important to that person too? And we're just kind of getting at the basics here of generating awareness of it. And part of this, so the reason I said that I'm working with governments and with utility companies is there's a public distrust of these institutions, right? And so a big piece of what we are doing is building or rebuilding trust within communities so that when the government says, hey, we want to give you a rebate and we're going to install this for free, the people actually trust that they will do that and trust them to come into their homes to do that install and so on, right? A great way to build awareness is to share stories, especially neighbor to neighbor, peer to peer, family member to family member, people that they trust, right? And here I want to interject something that I use in my inclusive leadership training, which is to make sure that you're leading with empathy in that moment. Here's where we often impose our own views on thoughts on other people. But it's so incredibly important. If we really want to change their behavior, we need to see the world from their point of view and then frame things in a way that is aligned with their worldview. People are much more likely to change if you just have to change a little bit if it's aligned with their worldviews. So you have to figure out what that is. And in order to do that, you have to build empathy and understand where they're coming from, how they feel, what they know, what they value. So this is adapted from Teresa Weissman, who is a nurse. Her work is used to develop empathy in physicians and nurses for their patients. So powerful for all of us. And there are 2 parts to empathy, building insight and insight and engagement. So to gain insight, we see their world. We have to be open and present and take in their perspective using our curiosity. And then we work to understand their feelings. And it's not how we might feel in their situation, but it's how they feel in their situation, which can be quite different based on our experiences. And I just keep thinking about the uncle sitting across the table from you. We have different experiences. And so we see their world, we understand their feelings, and then we engage. And the engagement at the beginning is appreciating their worldview without judgment. It can be kind of hard, right? But we work to appreciate them without a judgment, without minimizing their experience. We trust their experience, and then we communicate that understanding, showing empathy, right? I see you, I hear you, I care about what you shared, right? Start from there. Start from a point of empathy and understanding and develop your talking points or communications in a way that is going to meet them where they are, right? And if you're doing this in an organization, or if you're doing this with consumers, you want to do surveys, you want to do focus groups to really understand their world, their feelings, and then communicate that understanding through your messaging. Number two, when somebody is concerned or aware, then they start to investigate. They learn the pros and cons of taking action. So they're not ready to take action yet. They're just kind of they're one step forward, maybe one step back, one step forward. So address their needs. How does it benefit them? For real, how does it benefit them? How does it align with their values? You can here you can provide more details about how something works too. So how an app works, how a program works, and so on. And then, if possible, you also want to establish social norms within their community. And social norms are what the majority does within a community, and what a majority believes within the community. And so social norms, you could potentially create a community that has those social norms and invite them in. Like a lot of tech companies will have a Discord channel, for example, for people, for users of their app, and everybody in that community has a social norm of using the app and collaborating with each other and helping each other to use the app more effectively, right? I want to say here, again, thinking about that uncle, thinking about all the people that don't believe what you believe right now, that shame and guilt are some of the worst motivators for change. So if you really want to change somebody's behavior, don't do it through shame and guilt. Move away from those emotions. You want to connect with them in a way that is going to move them forward. And shame, when somebody feels shame or guilt, they get stuck in that, and it's hard they often push back and go the other direction, right? So we want to avoid those emotions. And recognize commonalities, find those commonalities with that other person. If you're working one-on-one, build connections and trust with them through those commonalities, and also value and acknowledge the differences, the unique experiences, values, and worldviews that they have. Right, that's the value of diversity. It applies in inclusive leadership, and it applies to any behavior change strategy. So once they're finished investigating, that they decide they're going to adopt the change, they're learning how. And so here, the most important thing is to give them a step-by-step playbook. How do I do it? Also, you want to understand the barriers to change. What's holding them back? What is a little, they get to a certain point and maybe they stop and they don't keep moving forward. Like with our electrification programs, it's a really complicated process to get rebates and incentives. And it takes a long time. So that can be a big challenge. Another challenge can be finding a contractor that you trust that is going to install a product that you want them to install, and so on. So your communications materials and your programming can help address those barriers and remove them if possible, or make them easier. And then also nudge them toward taking action through marketing and communications materials. Really important if you have an app where somebody has come on once, you find those little nudges to keep them coming back. they're preparing, they've gone through all the steps to prepare, and now they are taking action. So taking action sometimes is a one quick thing. Like I go into a store and I try something on. That's the preparing, the investigating, preparing, and then I'm ready to buy it, and I just go in and purchase it. Right? That's a quick one thing. Um, Other times, taking action requires more than one step. So it might be a long process, like electrification. Again, that electrification process of taking action is, you have somebody, a contractor, you sign on the dotted line with that contractor, then they come and they install it. Then you have to actually use it effectively. So there's still a lot of things here along the way. An online app would be very similar. There's you want people to continue to use it, not just sign up, but continue to use it, right? So how do I use it effectively? You might also continue to do those nudges, validate their decision and celebrate their actions, right? Validate, with our electrification program, sometimes we can show there's a reduction in a reduction in their utility bill. There might be a reduction in their overall impact on energy use, and so on, right? And then troubleshoot any issues they experience. So make sure you have an open door, whether that is if you have a product that they can easily contact you if they have any issues. Or one-on-one, they can feel safe to come back to you and ask you questions as they go, right? And so once they've taken action and once they, have gone through that action process, it's still, there's maintaining is still a stage because people can stop. Like I buy a bottle of shampoo. You want to make sure that they're using their shampoo all the way to the end of the bottle, and then they go back and they purchase that shampoo again, right? If your online app, you want to make sure that they're continuing to use it and that they're growing their organization and continuing to use it as they grow and so on. And so maintaining, and for an HVAC machine, when we're installing a heat pump, we want to make sure that they're using the product effectively so they're actually getting the benefits that we've said that they will, right? So you want to help them evaluate their decision. Is it benefiting me or the family as I expected? Show them the rewards for their choice and enroll them in becoming ambassadors once they get to a point where they love it. They're continuing to use it over and over again. This is really great for my family. Those are the folks that you want in your community saying, hey, this is a great product, right? This is a great program. So those are the folks that you want to become your influencers, right? So unconcerned, investigating, preparing, taking action, and maintaining. Those are the stages of change for strategic communications. And this is a basic behavioral model for thinking about how to change individual behavior. So I use it when I'm supporting a friend or a colleague who's looking to change their behavior, when coaching leaders on driving change, or when they're working on change within themselves, when working with team members who are learning new skills or behaviors, when working on big sustainability behavior change campaigns, big marketing campaigns, or big internal culture change campaigns. And I will say, with the latter few of those, that when working with large populations, you also want to assess the population overall. So it's often really, I will combine this model with an organizational change model or a community change model or an innovation model, to really help understand how innovation is flowing through a population, how change is flowing through a population. But hopefully this gives you some initial thoughts to try today. Um, yeah, so together we can create positive change. For those of you who are feeling the weight of the world right now, I'm sending so much love to you. These are difficult times for so many people in so many different ways, and I recognize that. And remember who you are. Remember your strength and your resilience and our collective resilience. Really important to go out into nature and remember the vastness of this world and time, as well as beauty and our connectedness. So make sure that you're finding community, and consider taking one step this week to make your community a little bit wider. to maybe go one more step beyond and have a conversation, listen to understand, find commonalities with somebody, and also value and respect their unique differences. Together, we can create positive change. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Again, I'm Melinda Briana Epler. You're welcome to reach out to me in any of these channels here. Thank you again, Lisa May and the whole team for all of the work that you have done. Thank you for Lisa May in particular for your friendship and your leadership. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.